Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show. I am your host, Dr. Will, and I am here with Dr. Sandy Chambers. How are you doing, Doc?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Thanks for asking. We met via Twitter,
Mhm.
and I see you're doing some great things. So I wanted to talk to you. You're welcome. So I want to talk to you about to pick your brain on leadership. Leadership to me is very critical, particularly in this digital age when we talk about technology. You know, there's a lot of people on Twitter and they're like, teachers are the deciding factor and teacher this and teacher that. And I'm going, teacher can't do jack if leadership don't let them do anything. Uh,
Exactly.
so it's really the leadership that sets the tone in the culture. And if anyone knows, a lot of devices, schools will buy devices and they'll sit up in teachers' classrooms, if, particularly if the culture isn't there and leadership does not make it a point to
You
model and make the expectations known that we will be using this for instruction.
exactly. You're right.
All right, so again, I'm going to do 5 questions talking about leadership. So for those who are watching the show and they may be wondering, I know who Dr. Will is, but who is Dr. Chambers? Will you please introduce yourself?
Well, I am currently an elementary school principal. I've been a principal for, I think about 15, 14 years. I started in elementary education as a first grade teacher and then went into reading and intervention. And then I became an assistant principal for about 3 years, and then I've been a principal ever since. I was going to say I enjoy being a principal, but I didn't come into this profession purposefully. It kind of fell into my lap, and it's one of those things that doors open and I just walked through those doors, and it has been a blessing ever since. And I'm just working, and I'm a hard work. I'm just pushing through with this, with education and trying to make a difference in the lives of our kids, provide them with an equitable education. And I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, obviously the South, sort of, and just making my way to help all the kids that I can.
Yeah, she said the South kind of because like I'm in Mississippi, so you know North Carolina, though it may be in the South, that's like ritzy. It's like ritzy caviar South, and I am catfish South.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a different ball game. So glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So, what do you see as the primary role of school leadership, and how do you support teachers and assist them in developing their individual strengths?
Well, I see the primary role in school leadership is to be a model, is to push your teachers to be the best that they can be. It is important for your teachers to walk through that door every day wanting to make a difference in the lives of the students that they touch. And the way that I do that is, again, I'm trying to be that model. You can talk all you want to talk, but if you're not that example, if you don't lead by example, then your teachers really aren't going to get it. I also encourage risk taking. I'm a huge risk taker myself. And I want my teachers to just try it. Just try it. If it doesn't work, it's okay. We all make mistakes. Try it and try something else. Keep going. It's about giving your teachers permission to try, to make a mistake, and to learn from that mistake and keep going. A lot of teachers, I think, are afraid to take risks, whether they will be reprimanded for it or whether that they are just comfortable with not taking risks. But you're not going to make change if you don't take risks.
Mm, I like that. I like that, and that's what I want from my teachers. I'd rather my teachers go for it and it not work well for them
Right,
to just go. I don't want to be bothered with
right,
it.
right.
Uh, so, which is most important to you as a leader? Is it the mission? Is it your core values, or is it your vision for yourself and your school?
I would say it's your core values. It's what you believe in your heart, because I think that's what motivates you every day to get up. Yes, everybody can have a mission. We want to do this. You say that your vision, you want all students to graduate by this, but it's about what you believe and how much effort you're going to put into making that vision happen. So to me, at the end of the day, if you don't believe that your students can, then no matter what you did for that day is not going to really matter, because it's what you believe, what your students believe that you believe, and it's about that relationship there. Because if students know that you will go to the end of the earth for them, then they will do anything for you, whether they're not there yet or where they're getting there. It's all about that relationship and believing that you're coming to school making a difference, and that your students know that you're there for them and that you believe in them.
Did y'all hear that? People said, if you believe, I was like, are we gonna have to pass the collection plate around tonight? she went there on him. So, what are your thoughts on teacher isolation? What has amazed me, and this year it has been fantastic in our one-to-one, the change. But it amazes me how you can have algebra teachers, or if you're in the elementary school, these teachers teaching the same stuff, and they may talk to each other about what somebody did last night or what happened in the community, but they don't share lesson plans. They don't talk about what's happening in each other's classrooms. They don't visit each other's classrooms, and
Right.
so they're into these own individual sort of silos, and no one is growing. And what's interesting on top of that is, districts pay thousands and thousands of dollars to bring in consultants to do things, when every school has master teachers that other teachers can learn from.
Exactly.
So how can schools create a connected culture of learning and collaboration so that teachers are actually learning together, working together, and growing with one another?
Well, that's a great question, because that culture of collaboration among the teachers is what can move student achievement. And it's about being meticulous. It's about being purposeful. It's about just basically looking at your standards and sharing ideas. Let's figure out how we can make this work. And every week at my school, my teachers have an hour to collaboratively plan, and that's what we call it, collaboratively planning time. And I have my classroom teachers there. I have my support staff in those meetings, and we have everybody there so that they have the resources and the support, the AIG teacher, the intervention teacher. We have all the supports there so that if they had questions on how to support in math or different areas, it's about making sure that, I'm sorry, my dog's barking back there. I don't know if you hear or not.
I do.
My little dog. But it's about, it's important. That is, principals, again, have to make time. The teachers need to know that planning together is very important. It's not about talking about field trips. It's not about talking about who didn't do what and what student didn't and what parents mad at you. It's about, let's look at our week next week, not this week, but the next week, planning ahead so that we can make sure we're all on the same page. It might look different in every room because I do respect teachers' talents, but at the same time, we have to make sure we're providing the same curriculum, giving the kids equal access to what the curriculum, what they're supposed to be provided with. And so planning together is very important. You've got different talents, you've got different ideas. To me, that is it's growing to be a very powerful thing. And teachers don't realize it until they start doing it the right way, that how powerful it is. So you just have to get there. And I go to those meetings. So there's no talking about what we're going to do last night, what we did last night, or what we're going to do this weekend. It's business. And it's that expectation that we need to plan and we need to make sure our kids get what they need.
Mm-hmm. Again, high class South, down South. That's how she does it. So we're both on Twitter, and we see a lot of different things people talk about, and we hear a lot about teaching like a pirate and turning your classroom into Starbucks.
Yeah.
And you know, some of these things are, to me, fantastic.
Right.
And you know, some of those things are, I'm not putting on the shelf for anybody, quite honestly. But that's just me. I digress.
Right.
But what about those students who they don't engage? I mean, they seriously refuse to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
How can schools work with parents and the student to take responsibility for their own learning?
Well, that's a tricky question because, you know, I'm at the elementary level, so we rarely have students that don't engage. Now, what we would have, though, are students that have maybe some emotional issues that would be the reason why they're not engaging, because what happened at home last night, they're worried about that. But it's it's the multiple support systems around students that you need to bring. You know, that teacher needs to recognize, okay, Sally or Johnny or whoever is not engaging today. You talk to that child. Again, it's going back to what I said, building those relationships. Johnny, Sally, they talk to you, tell you what's going on. And if so it's hard for me to see that happening at my school, in particular because I preach relationship building. And if the teacher doesn't have it, because every now and then you have students who, I just don't like Miss So-and-so, they just can't get with it. I have that relationship with them, or somebody else in the building does. And we need to find out what the issue is. And we bring the parent in if we need to. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, parents they know what they want for their child. They expect their child to do what they're supposed to do. And I do appreciate, you know, we have a lot of parent support regardless of their socioeconomic status. So I would say that, you know, it's bringing all those supports or wraparound services for that child so that we can get to the bottom of it. You can't leave them sitting there with their head down. And you can't leave them there. Okay, maybe one day, okay, they had a rough night, but we're still going to figure out what happened, because the next day we need to figure out how we can move forward from this. We can't sulk every day of the week. We have to move forward. But again, it's relationships. That is the key to solving a lot of the defiance and the non-compliance in schools.
It's interesting you keep stressing relationships, because I did a show last night, and in fact, that was one of the topics we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And though I believe in the importance of it, I also believe in students going after it and going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, as you say, elementary students are a little different, or at a different age and emotional level. When you get to that secondary level, I will tell a student, I don't care if Miss Johnson doesn't like you. Because let's be real, Miss Johnson may have 150 students.
Right.
There are going to be some students Miss Johnson not going to like.
Right.
And I mean, let's be real. Some people may not even like all their kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the reality is, for those students, I always tell them, this is your future. This is your life. And where do you see yourself going? And if you are wearing a paper hat to work at the age of 35, that is all on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you have to go get it.
Right.
That's just the reality of, to me, where I see something is missing in K through 12 education, because a lot of times we talk about relationships, we talk about engagement, we talk about the pirate stuff, but we don't go to the student and say, it's the real world out there, son.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, we do get to that point with the upper grades kids sometimes, 4th and 5th graders, because they get attitudes real quick. And, you know, it's like, just like you scaffold children in learning, you scaffold that behavior and that mindset that, you know, I know you might be frustrated, but we need to do this, and I care about you, and I'm going to help you. You can only help so much until, okay, what you going to do? What are we going to do together? And what are you going to do for yourself? So you do have to help hold children accountable. And that's when you bring that parent in to say, I need you to make sure your child is doing what they need to do, but also I need you to help them understand that it's their responsibility as well. We can't hold our kids' hands forever. And I tell you, by the time I get to 2nd or 3rd grade, I look at a child like, look, I love you, but get it right. You know, I had an incident a couple of weeks ago with a 3rd grader, and he's like, you always yelling at me. You always doing that. I'm like, I know, I love you, but it's time for you to figure it out. So you kids, yes, you have to hold them accountable, but it's that tough love. It's that tough love.
All right. All right. Some of the shine off the pearl coming off. We getting dirty south here now. Come real. It's come real. So before we go, I want to talk about what's next for K through 12 education.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see K through 12 going, and how do you expect the role of the principal to change?
Well, I do see K-12 changing. You know, I just had a principals meeting today, and we're talking about the changing world and how we can't do what we used to do, and kind of fighting with a friend on Facebook about Common Core and how, you know, I think parents today don't understand it. And I had to reply back, and I deleted my response a couple of times because the whole point is our world is changing. It's not what it used to be. And as a result, schools have to change. And it's about a different mindset, different way of thinking. And so K-12 schools, we have to adapt to the world, the new world, the changing world. And it's going to change. They're changing probably not as fast as they should be, but at the same time, I think schools are changing at a nice, steady pace because you're still having that pushback from parents. I don't teach math that way. That's not how I learned it. So why are you learning it that way? So there is a push and pull going on. But I really think that, you know, as far as the principal is concerned and being that change agent, again, it's push it. You have to continue. You got to stay current, and you have to know what's going on in the world, and you have to continue to push your staff. And I mean, I tell my staff all the time, Walmart is hiring. If you don't want to work at my school where I have high expectations and I expect you to take risks, you can go down the street and work at Walmart. You've got to push yourselves, and that's the type of environment. I'm real. I'm honest with my staff, and if we're gonna produce students and families and communities that are going to compete in this global world, then we have to be able to push them forward, and we have to stay current with the information ourselves.
Woo! Ooh! Walmart is hiring. Okay. See, I'm glad you came on the show today. I'm not going to get into stuff, but I'm just saying I love that, and I love how you say these are my expectations, and this is where we need to be. That is so awesome. Mm-hmm. So again, Dr. Chambers, thank you for being the guest on the Dr. Will Show, and let me know when you want to come back, because I definitely want to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Dr. Will. I really appreciate you having me, and I look forward to reviewing many of your podcasts to come, and I do appreciate all you've done. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And again, people, you know this is going on my blog post. This is going up on SoundCloud, and you'll be able to see how you can connect with Dr. Chambers on Twitter and such and learn more about her. As always, people, be you, edu, peace.